Hey guys, we are back with another video. I am Kanikia.
And I'm Octavius.
And we are KO Love.
What it do? Let's get into it.
What's up, guys? So, we left you guys off on our part one.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, but you look very nice right now. You look very.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Continue.
Anyway, guys, you look like yourself. Now you got me all discombobulated. We stopped off where our first lender told us that we were declined because of the car payment loan.
Part one.
Yeah,
so
part one.
If you have not seen it and you're gonna be a little lost in this video, go back, find part one, and watch that so you can catch up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we just want you want to just get straight into it.
I guess yeah. You need to hold the people up and figure out what we. Yeah.
All right. So that's where we left off, and we told you guys that we were on the journey of watching Pastor Michael Todd's Crazy Faith, which again, if you haven't already started watching, go watch it. You will truly be blessed.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
so we were declined by our first mortgage company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let the story off here. We were declined by the first lender. So we got to the point where the car loan situation or the car payment situation happened, and they declined us because it popped up on our credit. So I'm like we both like what in the world, like this don't make no sense. Mind you, I said in the first video we were a week away from closing. One week away from closing. And so we both are like, what in the world, like what are we gonna do, right? And so once again, what I said in the first video, how the Crazy Faith series threads our whole story. We went back, we were prayed, we were watching another part of the series that once again, like I said, motivated us and pushed us to say, you know what, we cannot give up. We gotta keep pushing. So the only step that we had from that point of being declined was to call the other particular lender that we had our car loan with to explain to them like what happened and what the situation was. So I called the bank, the lender that we had our car loan with, and immediately, I started telling them about the situation.
Well, first you forgot, you just
the lady,
so happened.
The lady that I talked
to the lady who told us originally that it would be okay for us to make the payment late. Answer the phone when he called. I
just so happened to get her on the phone the first time I called. To just talk to somebody about the situation and figure out what could be done. I get the direct lady, the exact lady that gave me the okay the first time we called and said that we would be okay to make our payment on the date that we said we were going to make our payment or whatever that situation was. She was the one. So I'm like, oh, such and such. I ain't gonna say her name, but I'm like, oh, such and such. I'm like, yeah. You told me it would be okay, and this is what happened. We were in the middle of purchasing our first home. My family has picked it. Went through the whole story with her and told her that we were set and ready to go and we had our closing date the next week. And because of this particular situation that I had directly spoke to her about, it's now over. Like they have dropped our loan. We've been declined. So I'm like, what happened? Like, what are we gonna do? And like, what happened? And so she was, she proceeded to explain, computer systems and the way that they were. It was a whole bunch of stuff. But either way, it didn't help me at that time or help us at that time to figure out what we had to do. So I said, well, look, because this is the situation, what type of chance do we have of getting approved through you all for a home loan? People have told us about you guys before. Told us about, it just was. And the crazy thing is, I don't want to leave out a key point in the story of saying that me and Kanika both agreed that at the beginning of this process, we didn't pray as much as we should have prayed. We didn't seek God as much as we should have sought Him in this situation as far as at the very, very beginning. And it's so crazy that what I learned through this process as a man, as the head of my household, what I learned in this process is that God's grace is so strong and so just amazing, right? That even though as his children that we didn't seek him and we didn't go to him as much as we should have went to him in the beginning of the process, he still will make sure that somewhere in the scenario, somewhere in the story, he gives you another opportunity to show you again where it is that you need to turn back to in situations like, or just life, period.
Yeah.
So I just had to say that because that's exactly what he did. We, to, like I said, to keep a long story or to try to shorten the story as much as possible. We called them. We said, hey, what can you do? What's the probability? What's the possibility of us being able to be approved by you guys? And she said, hey, it is a possibility. She said you would need this, and this, and it just so happened that because
we were a week away from closing, we
had
everything.
Away from closing, we had everything. Kanika had kept everything organized. She had all of our paperwork, put away, and so everything that she said we needed. We had, so we were able to go. I want to say this was like on a Wednesday.
We went to the next day then.
This was on a Tuesday. I talked to her. It was a Wednesday. We actually went in to speak to her. So we went in, took everything she asked for, to see if we could be approved through them. Gave her everything. We talked to her. Everything seemed to be great. Everything seemed to go well. It was smooth. They had even less restrictions than the other lender.
Yes.
It was just like, I'm talking about what our closing costs would have. It was a little.
It was not $7,000.
Yeah. It was like right on time, right on point.
Yes.
What it was that we needed. They had a better interest rate. Like everything was just better.
With them.
And so we're like, okay, this. All right, God, I see you. We're gonna watch the series. We done pray. All right, I see this. Okay, we in here.
All right.
And so she said she took the stuff and she said she had to go talk to her branch manager or director, and that she would get with it. This was on Wednesday. She said that we would hear from her by Friday. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we good. Fast forward, we get to Friday. Thursdays come. I did do something that ended up making me, I reflect on this now, but I think maybe on Friday morning we hadn't heard from them yet, and so I'm on my end and I'm like, man, I'm anxious, right? I'm just anxious, and I'm like, okay, she called it, what's going on? I'm gonna wait till at least this time, and so I wait till that time, and I call, right? I call, I get to her, she's like, I'm still waiting for an answer from him. I'll get with you as soon as I can. So I'm like, all right, okay, I get off the phone. When I get off the phone with her, because the Crazy Faith series had been with us through this whole time, I'm like, let me go back once again and just look and just, see if I can get something out of it. So I went back, and the first one that I saw was Hasty Faith.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was Hasty Faith, I believe. It was like, that's one of the titles of one of the series parts.
Yeah.
Hasty Faith. And, not to try to go deep into it because you need to watch it, but basically, it was speaking about, being hasty, jumping, making hasty decisions,
yeah.
like doing, jumping and doing things. That's what I got from it. And as soon as I watched it, I was convicted. I felt bad because I'm like, wow, we've prayed to God, we've asked it, we've done all these things, and here I go jumping up Friday morning calling and not waiting on God to do what it is that, he was already doing. And so I'm like, man, I felt convicted and felt bad right then. I asked God for it. I said, God, you've been working. I've seen you, like, through this whole situation, I've seen you working, and there's no way that I can deny that you're not in this. So please forgive me. Forgive me for being hasty. I'm backing up. I'm gonna leave it alone and wait. So the day goes on. I end up having to pick my daughter up from daycare. We're waiting. This is probably about 2 in the afternoon. We end up going to the grocery store. So we go to the grocery store. We're walking around the grocery store. We're getting stuff. And I get a call. So the call ended up being the bank, ended up being this particular lender. And she says, hi, Mr. Jeffries, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm doing great. How are you doing? This is the call we've been waiting for all day, right? She said, I wanted to, call you, and I wanted to let you know that I'm so sorry. I talked to my branch manager, and, because of that car payment situation, the car payment situation that happened with them that they know about, that they gave us the clearing on, that
exactly
they know was the reason we lost the last loan. You gave me the okay, the whole story. The story. That very thing was the reason why they also declined our loan too. So now it's Friday. Now we like I said, we're about a week away from closing, and I'm in the store with my daughter, and I get this phone call from her, and it's like my heart like dropped down to my legs. Like it just was like the life was like sucked out of me, because now I'm feeling like, man, I've done everything that I feel like I can do at this point. Like I've called this other lender has dropped this. Like now at this point, now I'm feeling like, okay, are you trying to tell me this is not the time for us to do this, or we're not supposed to go this route? Like I'm starting to question things, which is the wrong thing for me to do, because I know what God was showing us through this whole process. So now I'm in the store, I'm with my daughter, I get the call from her, I'm almost numb. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, how could you decline the loan for the very reason you know, like that doesn't make sense? She said, I know, I tried to explain to my branch manager, it's just, you know, that's gonna, you know, what its situation is gonna be. And I'm like, man, come on, like you gotta do better than that. You have to explain to me, this don't make no sense. And she's like, Mr. Jeffries, I'm sorry. You know, I completely apologize. You know, we can try this again. Maybe we can, you know, get a few months away from it, and we can do it again. And so at this point, I'm like, all right, bye. I get off the phone with her, and like I said, my body is just kind of like light. Like I'm just like, oh my God. The first thing that came to my mind was her. Like that was the first thing. She was at work during this whole time. Mm-hmm. She didn't get off until later in the afternoon.
So I have no idea what's going on.
She has no idea that we've been denied.
Waiting on the phone call.
She's waiting on me to call or waiting on to hear some news about, you know, because we thought this was a sure thing. Like we're like, okay, they know the situation. We don't have anything else. We have all of our stuff. We're in good standing. We got our money together. Bank accounts looking great. Like, okay, we're good. And so we thinking that we're fine. And so she doesn't know. So she's the first thing to come to my mind. And I get my daughter. I check out. I walk or float to the car. Get in the car. She gets in the seat behind, you know, in the car, and I'm just sitting there, just, you know, crank up the car, whatever. I'm just looking out the windshield. I'm just like, man, what in the world are we gonna do? I said, whatever it is that's gonna have to happen, I know that I'm not calling her and telling her that this didn't work out. Only because as a man, you know, as a head of my house, I'm like, there has to be something that I can do or I can work out. At this point, I'm thinking the loan is gone, the house, but at least when I call her with the news, I want to have a plan. I want to say, this is what happened. They denied us, but this is the plan that we got to follow to get what we want to get. I just can't call her and have her feeling like this feeling as well, like we just lost, you know, everything that we were doing. So I'm like, there's no way. So I sit in the car and I'm sitting there, and no lie, when I she was in this car with me, whatever, I happened to look down at my phone, and when I look down at my phone, I open it up or whatever, and I'm just on it. But the first thing that popped up, like I have like notifications on my phone from like YouTube, you know, it tells me when certain things are alerts or whatever. It had came up the Crazy Face series. It came up and it was the next part. Like, you know how you watch a video on YouTube and then the next one comes up on the page beside it or whatever. The next part to the series was there, and so it's like immediately, it's like I was in the dumps, but then God was like, all right, here you go, doubting. Like, you already know what it is that we've had. Like, you know what you've been worked out. You know what I've worked out, you know, this far in the situation. Here you go, doubting. So let me remind you again. You know what I'm saying?